Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Honour.R, a licensed professional counselor supervisor. And today we're going to dive into something that I know so many of you are feeling right now. And this is myself included. And this is change fatigue. We are living in a world that's moving faster than it has ever before. And while change has always been a part of life, the pace and the volume of change we're navigating today is something different entirely. So, today I just wanted to talk about what change fatigue actually is, why we resist change, even when we know it's coming, and most importantly, how we can begin to move through it with a little more grace and a whole lot more self compassion. All right, this is for me as well, so let's get into it. Let's start focusing on the world that we're living in. Before we talk about us, let's talk about the world for just a moment because context matters. Right now, we're living through some of the most significant periods of global transformation in modern history. Now, just think about it. Artificial intelligence is reshaping entire industries almost overnight. There's news every day of what's going on. The way we work and the way we communicate, the skills that are valued, all of it is shifting faster than most people can keep up with. At the same time, global economic growth is slowing, interest rates are high, the cost of living is squeezing people in ways that are creating real financial stress and anxiety. And if that weren't enough, we're also watching volatile geopolitical conflicts play out in real time on our phones, in our news feed every single day. And there's also a problem with being constantly fed information. We're going to talk about that later. But now I'm not saying all of this just to overwhelm you. I'm saying it because, of course, you're tired. Of course, you're feeling like you're running on empty. The environment that we're living in is genuinely demanding more from us than ever before, and acknowledging that is the first step. Change is inevitable, but here's what I want you to hold on to throughout this video. How we respond to change determines our ability to thrive, not where the change happens, it will, but how we relate to it. So let's name this thing change fatigue, right? That's what we're experiencing, all of us. It is what happens when we are asked to continuously adapt without adequate time to recover between transitions. It's the exhaustion that comes from a single hard event, but from the relentlessness of it all. And it is different from your everyday tiredness. This goes even deeper. Okay, when we're dealing with change fatigue, you might notice a few things. First, you might feel a decrease in motivation. Things that used to excite you just feel flat. You might find yourself becoming cynical, almost waiting for the next bad thing to happen. Your productivity might even drop, not because you're lazy, but because your cognitive resources are genuinely depleted. And perhaps the most painful symptom, you might feel a deep sense of helplessness. Like no matter what you do, things are just going to keep changing and there's nothing you can do about it. And let me explain real quick why this happened from a psychological perspective. Because continuous adaptation drains what psychologists call our cognitive and emotional resources. Think of it like a battery. Every time we face a change, even a small one, it costs us energy to adjust. When we don't have time to recharge, between changes, that battery stays low. And when it stays long enough, we become less resilient, more vulnerable to stress, and more likely to experience burnout. If any of this resonates with you, I want you to know this is not weakness. This is completely normal human response to abnormal amount of sustained pressure. Just think about it. We're in April, but it feels like we are already 8 months in the year because there's been different news headlines every day that are draining our energy, from interest rate changes, the wars, the political changes and shifts, all these things that are going on, stressing us out. Now, as humans, it's natural for us to resist change. Even knowing that change is coming, even expecting it, we still resist it. Now, why do we do this? Now, there's several reasons why people resist change. And this, first of all, let's qualify it and say it's a deeply human response. The first is loss aversion. Psychologically, we are wired to feel the pain of losing something much more intensely than the pleasure of gaining something new. Change almost always involves letting go of something, a routine, a role, a way of seeing ourselves, and that loss is real, even when what's coming is better. The second is our comfort in predictability. Our brains are prediction machines that like to know what's coming. Change disrupts the sense of safety, and the brain responds with threat, even when the change is positive. Third, identity and self-concept. Sometimes the changes we resist the most are the ones that challenge who we think we are if our identity is wrapped up in a particular job, relationship, or way of life. Change in that area can feel like a threat to your very self. Then there's the fixed versus growth mindset. Those of us with a fixed mindset tend to believe that our abilities and traits are set in stone. Getting convicted here. Change becomes threatening because it requires learning, and learning means risking failure. A growth mindset, on the other hand, sees change as an opportunity, but that's a lens that has to be consciously cultivated. We also can't ignore past experiences and trauma. If change in your history has meant loss, instability, or pain, or your nervous system has learned to protect you by resisting it, that's not dysfunction, that's adaptation. But it can keep us stuck when we need to move forward. The neuroscience of habit also plays a role. Our brains create deeply ingrained neural pathways for familiar behaviors. Changing those pathways requires effort, repetition, and discomfort. The brain defaults to what it knows because efficiency is survival. And finally, social and cultural influences shape how we relate to change. Some cultures celebrate stability and tradition, others celebrate innovation and movement. The messages we received growing up about change, whether it was welcomed or feared, live on in how we relate to it today. So understanding why we resist change isn't about judging ourselves, it's about having self-awareness. And self-awareness is where change actually begins. Now, let's just talk a little bit about how to adapt, like flexibility from the inside out. Okay, so we've named what's happening and why. Now let's talk a little bit about what we can actually do about it. The key word here is flexibility. And flexibility that's not forcing, we're not talking about forcing yourself to love change, not pretending it doesn't hurt, but developing the capacity to bend without breaking. Here are 8 practices that can genuinely help. 1. Cultivate curiosity over certainty. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what can I learn from this? Curiosity keeps us open. Certainty seeking keeps us closed. 2. Acknowledge your emotions. This is huge. We can't process what we don't acknowledge. If you're scared, say it, at least to yourself. If you're grieving something that's changing, let yourself grieve. Naming emotions reduces their power over us. Practice small changes regularly. That's number 3. This one is practical and powerful. Deliberately changing small things in your routine. Take a different route home. Try a new food. Rearrange something in your space. You're training your nervous system to tolerate novelty, so that when bigger changes come, your capacity is already healed. It's like stretching that muscle to take on a whole lot more. And number 4, accept that change is a process, not a moment. We often expect ourselves to adapt instantly, but adjustment takes time. Give yourself that time without judgment. And number 5, Build resilience through self-care. I know self-care can feel like a buzzword now, but here I mean the basic sleep, movement, connection, nutrition. These are the foundations that make everything else possible. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Full stop. And number 6, let go of perfection. Perfectionism is an illusion. And perfectionism and change are deeply incompatible. Change is inherently messy and imperfect. If you're waiting to do it perfectly, you will wait forever. Done and imperfect beats undone and perfect every single time. Let me repeat that. Done and imperfect beats undone and perfect every single time. All right. 7, practice perspective taking. Zoom out, ask yourself in 5 years, how will I see this moment? Sometimes that wider lens makes the current discomfort feel a little bit more manageable and more meaningful. And number 8, celebrate your adaptation. This is the one we almost always skip. When you're getting through a hard change, even a small one, acknowledge it. You did something hard. That matters. Celebration reinforces resilience. All right. I just want to leave you with this. Change acceptance isn't about eliminating the discomfort. It's not about pretending that transition is easy or that resistance is bad. It's about developing the capacity to move forward despite uncertainty. And that capacity is something you can build one small practice at a time. When you understand the psychological forces at play, when you implement even a few practical strategies, and when you choose flexibility over rigidity, you will begin to transform change from something that happens to you into something that shapes you, strengthens you, and ultimately helps you grow. You are more adaptable than you know. So thank you so much for watching this video. And if this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'd love to hear in the comments, what's one change you've been resisting that maybe it's time to lean into? Take care of yourself, and I will definitely see you in the next one.